Hello to everybody at the Cateau Primary School and your fantastic teacher, Miss Tate. Thank you so much for getting in touch with me. My name is Alistair Humphreys. I am the author. I'm an adventurer, and I'm also the author, the person who wrote books like The Boy Who Biked the World and The Girl Who Rode the Ocean. And you guys, lights on. Look at that, that's better. You guys have been reading my book and sending me some fantastic questions. Thank you. I have to say, by the way, Le Cateau Primary School is one of the coolest school names that I've ever heard of. So congratulations. You got 14 great questions. Let's get on with them. Why did you bike around the world? Why not? Why would you bike around the world? I biked around the world because it was fun, because it was exciting, because I wanted to see different places and meet different people and see cool animals and try different foods and learn about different cultures. I also wanted to cycle around the world for the challenge because I didn't know if I could actually do it. And it seemed really hard and really scary. And I think it's important to try things that are difficult and scary because that's how you learn what you're capable of. You grow. You think, wow, I did something difficult. What else can I do? I also cycled around the world because I grew up reading loads of books, adventure books about people doing crazy stuff around the world. And I used to think, wow, I'd like to do that. So books inspired me. And then the final option, I suppose, is that I wanted to become a writer. I needed to have some stories to write about. So I thought, well, let's go make some stories. What was your favorite place you visited? Well, that's a hard question. Sorry, look how dirty my coffee cup is. Isn't that disgusting? What was your favorite? Oh, by the way, do you like my shed? This is where I write my books. Got lots of books that I've enjoyed reading over the years. Up on the wall here, this is my planning for my next book that I'm writing. I've got a map of the world up on the ceiling. I've got a globe. See about the world. I've got a cushion with my face on, which is quite silly. I did not buy that. Someone gave it to me. And most importantly of all, I've got a pair of legs, which I found by the road and I quite liked. So I brought them home. Where's your favorite place? It's really hard to say favorite place because you like places for different reasons. The best food, the nicest people, the most sunshine, the smoothest roads to pedal. So there's loads of different reasons, the different answers. So it's very hard. Yeah, I can't really just pick one place. You like places for different reasons. How old were you when you started and how old were you when you finished? I was 24 when I started cycling around the world and I was 29 when I began. So I was away for just over 4 years. And in that time, how many sandwiches did I eat? A lot. I ate a lot of banana sandwiches. I admit I didn't eat quite as many sandwiches as Tom did. I exaggerated that for the story, but I did eat a lot of banana sandwiches. They're very cheap, they're very easy, they're very healthy. Perfect. And they're tasty. How many reptiles did you see? Wow, that's a great question. I'm not sure anyone's ever asked me that in all these years of answering questions. How many reptiles did you see? Well, let's see. Some frogs, some newts, some toads, some armadillos, none of which are reptiles, I hope is what you're shouting. Reptiles. Gosh, I love seeing wildlife. I'm really scared of snakes. So when you see a snake sitting on the road, and they quite often lie on roads because the roads are nice and warm, I would kind of love it, but also be a bit scared. How many stamps did you get in your passport? A lot. In fact, I filled up a whole passport with stamps and had to have a new passport to put more stamps in. And they're actually a really nice souvenir. When you get your passport and you look through and you see the stamps for different countries, different colors, different alphabets, it's a lovely souvenir. Did you ever feel like quitting when you biked around the world? I felt like quitting a lot. And that's part of being on an adventure. If you love every single minute and every single day, you're not on an adventure, you're on a holiday. So adventures need to be hard. You need to be thinking, oh, I want to give up and go and watch TV. And you have to say to yourself, no, keep going, it'll be worth it. So you do need some struggle. So yeah, I felt like quitting a lot. It was hard, it was tiring, it was lonely. Sometimes it was boring. I missed my friends. So I felt like quitting a lot. But the reward at the end for not quitting, you feel really great. Did you ever pop your tire? I got lots and lots of punctures, flat tires on my bike. My worst day was getting 15 in one day in the mountains in South America. And on that day, I definitely would have felt like quitting biking around the world. Do you have any pets? Excellent question. I don't have any pets right now. When I was your age, I used to have a dog, a golden retriever dog. She was called Goldie. My brother had a little hamster, and I had an aquarium with fish in it, which I really loved. And one day, when I'm a proper grown-up, I want to get a giant fish tank, the biggest fish tank you can possibly get. One so big I can snorkel in it. I'd love to have that. What was the most interesting animal you saw? Gosh, well, from my last answer, you know I like water type things. So when I crossed the ocean, so when I cycled around the world, I crossed the Atlantic Ocean in a sailing boat. And then another trip, I rowed across the Atlantic in a rowing boat. And on this trip, we saw whales. So when you're out in the sea and suddenly a whale bursts out, that's pretty special. And it's extra special because you don't know it's going to happen, and you don't know if it'll happen again. So it's just a precious moment that you have to just keep in your head. How long did it take to write The Boy Bike the World Part 1? It roughly takes me 1 year to write a book, but I wish I could be quicker, but it takes me so long. I find it really, really hard. I don't know if you're one of, like, when your teacher says you have to go away and write a story. I kind of want to write a good story, but also I'm thinking, maybe I'll just go and have a snack and a piece of toast, and then I write stuff and I think, oh, this is rubbish. And I rip it all up and I write it again, and it goes on and on. It's exhausting and tiring. So it roughly takes me about 1 year to do each book. Favorite and least favorite experience. Least favorite, getting 15 punctures in a day. Days when it rained and rained and rained and rained and rained and rained and rained. Running out of food for quite a few days, so I had to eat spaghetti with sugar. Running out of food for a couple of days, so I had to have an onion sandwich. Oh, I know what's awful is when you're sick. You know, when you're sick, when you're sort of vomiting and just feeling really ill. And it's horrible, isn't it? Even when you're at home, you feel like the night is dark and it's horrible and you feel very lonely. So being ill like that, but in a tent thousands of miles away from home, that was really horrible. Favorite experiences, sunrises, being out and seeing the sunrise and riding your bike and being free out in wild places in the world is such a privilege. And also favorite experience would be the kindness of people I met around the world. Just random people who were just nice to me and smiled and said hello and just make you feel a little bit better. Favorite food. There's lots of different places for food that are really nice. But one place that really surprised me was the country called Georgia, because I didn't really know anything about Georgia. And I got to Georgia after being in a few countries whose food wasn't very good. And the food in Georgia was suddenly really delicious and tasty. It was lovely. And it's a beautiful country. I really liked it. Google Khachapuri, which is spelled Khachapuri. Khachapuri. I'm sure Google can find it for you. Lovely sort of cheese on toast, pizzeria type things that you can buy from little stalls by the road and eat one, and then buy another and take it to eat later as you cycle down the road. What bike did you have? I had a pretty simple bike. It cost £400. Which is cheap for a bicycle. It was strong. It was simple because I didn't want a really fancy one that would break and you wouldn't be able to fix it. I wanted one that if it broke in a poor part of the world, the mechanics who worked in those countries would still be able to fix my bike. So it was strong, it was simple, and it was a mountain bike, but it was slightly changed. It didn't have any suspension, but it was slightly changed so you could fit the camping gear and the bags onto the bike. Have I got a picture of that? if you Google touring bike, touring bicycle, you'll see the bike, and then it has like a rucksack fixed on wheels, and you put all your stuff in there. But it was basically just a strong, simple mountain bike, nothing too fancy. Thank you, Le Chateau, for your fantastic questions. Thank you also for reading my book. Thank you to your amazing, brilliant teacher for choosing my book to read in your class. And most of all, I hope two things. One, it's made you want to read more books, because books can take you anywhere in the world. And number two, I hope it's got you dreaming of all the adventures still to come. So I really hope you are dreaming of adventures and can fill your summer holidays with lots and lots of great adventures. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.